with an internal reaction to MJF being removed from the AEW roster page and more. This is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. For details on Dragon Lee not being present for the NXT New Year's Evil event, PW Insider noted, for those who have asked, we are told that there are no imminent issues with Dragon Lee's new work visa for WWE in the United States, and that it has been approved, except that due to the holidays, it did not arrive in time for him to travel back to the United States in order to work NXT New Year's Evil. We are told that Lee is expected back in the States relatively soon, and could even be back as soon as Friday's SmackDown. It's just a matter of the visa being physically in his hands. During an interview with New Japan Pro Wrestling, star for the company, Kazuchika Okada said this about his standing in this profession. Honestly, I don't think of myself as the best in the world, but there isn't anyone better than me. Nobody can top what I do. I think I'm recognized and respected mainly because I've wrestled the best in New Japan. So I want more of my great matches in NJPW to be seen worldwide. There's no good wrestling outside of NJPW in my view because I'm here. I think 80% of the top wrestlers in the world today have had experience in New Japan. Just being in NJPW puts you at a top level. If you haven't wrestled here, you can't be a top guy. And I've been at the top here. Everyone knows that if you wrestle me, you get that experience, so it's understandable they come for me. As Santana and Ortiz are no longer on good terms, Ortiz would explain how they ended up splitting as a tag team, telling the Shining Wizards Wrestling podcast, "Unfortunately, it wasn't the company's call to split us. Me and Santana just couldn't get it together personally, and he was just very adamant about not working with me anymore. So the company kind of had no choice but to split us up, right? So they're like, okay, you're just not gonna not tag. It doesn't make any sense. Let's at least make this make sense why you split." With an online feud having started between Booker T and Ahmed Johnson after Booker ignored Johnson at an airport, Johnson has now issued a challenge to the WWE Hall of Famer, saying this on the Cheap Heat Productions podcast: "I would love to come on the show and have a debate with him or whatever they want to call it. I'm all game for that. Come on, Cheap Heat, and let's say what we gotta say and let's get it settled one way or the other. What he said was really bad and not true at all. There was no truth in what he said, and that really upset me, man. I'm not sure today why he started it, but he started it, and if he wanted to finish it, I'd like him to keep his mouth shut. Otherwise, I'm going to throw the lawsuit out the window and say what I got to say as far as the little secret goes." While it was thought that WWE was done with having blood intentionally used in their matches, we would see some during the bout on Raw between Nia Jax and Becky Lynch. Touching on this, Dave Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Radio, "Not only did they do blood in this match, and it was obviously not accidental blood, but they called attention to it. They used the word bloodbath during this match. For a long time, they shied away from the blood. They would always do it on certain occasions, like a big pay-per-view match with Brock Lesnar or something, but this was on TV, and they did close-ups of the blood, and they talked about the blood. So that whole thing about the other guy doing the blood is bad for wrestling, well, I guess they changed their tune tonight." Taking to X, former WWE star Velveteen Dream issued an apology for his behavior over the years. Of course, he was accused of sending inappropriate messages to minors and was arrested for battery and trespassing. Here's the video.
"As you've probably seen or have heard over the course of the last few years, I want to apologize for my behavior. Both professionally and personally, I always preach to those closest to me about the power of accountability and responsibility, and I take full accountability for my behavior over the last 3 years of my life. When narratives were written about me, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter what was written about me. It doesn't matter what was said about me. It doesn't matter what's on the internet about me. I was wrong. Okay? And because of that, I need to apologize to a few people. First, I want to apologize to the WWE organization. I want to apologize to the WWE organization for any unwanted attention and negative press that I brought to your brand and your product. I want to apologize to the WWE fans and the Velveteen Dream fans, because when you hear the name Velveteen Dream, it should have only been spoken about in a productive and a positive light. Not the name Patrick Clark as another statistic of what happens when talent and opportunity meet immaturity. Okay? That's not what you spend your hard-earned money on. It's not what you invest your time and your money in. When you look on the TV and you come to the shows, you should escape reality, not have to deal with mine. I want to apologize to the WWE and the fans. I want to apologize to Paul Levesque. Paul, you are such an understanding and patient man and leader, and getting the opportunity to work with you and to learn from you, I get the sense of what makes you who you are and how you've been able to handle the responsibility of being in the public light for such a long time. I want to apologize to you, Paul. I'm sorry. Also, I want to say I'm sorry to Shawn Michaels. Shawn, it's still beyond me that I've been having the opportunity in this lifetime to learn from you, to have your mentorship and your guidance. And I apologize if you feel like you've wasted your time and your energy investing into me. You have not. I'm still a work in progress. I'm still learning, and I remember all the lessons that you've taught me. Shawn, I'm sorry. My best friend, Tahuti Miles, I want to apologize to you because before you were tied to me publicly for the support you've given me and you continue to give me, your resume was impeccable. And I apologize for any smudges that I may have put on that resume because of my behavior. You're the last person that should have to deal with anything like that, and I'm sorry, man. I want to apologize to my family, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my nieces and my nephews, because you may read things, you may hear about things, you may be confronted by people who you don't know, and you might feel the need to explain yourselves on my behalf. I just want you to know that you do not have to do that, ever. No one should have to explain anything for Patrick Clark. No one should have to trend because of Patrick Clark. No one should have to answer the questions, where's Patrick now? What did Patrick do? What happened with Patrick? That's not your responsibility, and I don't want you to feel burdened with that responsibility. That's my responsibility, okay? And I apologize to you all for any energy, negative energy that has had to come your way because of me, okay? Again, I want to apologize to the fans and those in my professional and personal life that I've affected by my behavior. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I recognize that I was losing myself, and I apologize to anyone that I lost along the way, anyone that I've upset or offended because of my behavior. Man, I'm sorry. And I hope you all forgive me. Thank you.
Talking about Chris Jericho, former WWE star Rene Dupree revealed an interesting bit of information he heard, saying on his podcast, "Someone asked me if I ever heard any rumors about Jericho and women. I told when I first broke into the business, the indie guys from Manitoba told me, yeah, Jericho's rep was that he tries to F your girlfriend. He was notorious for effing other guys' girlfriends, which at one point was a sin. You stay away from the other guys' wives and girlfriends. Nothing brings more animosity into a locker room than when you're fooling around with someone else's significant other. Does it surprise me he does that? No. He was always an a-hole to me for no reason." Following his loss to Samoa Joe at the AEW World's End pay-per-view, MJF is reportedly going to be out of action, with Dave Meltzer saying this on Wrestling Observer Radio. He's going to have to rehab the shoulder, which is the main problem, or he may need surgery. Just judging how severe the shoulder was, he may need surgery, which would put him out for a while. He's still debating on what tack to take. Speaking of the former AEW World Champion, this was said regarding the perception within AEW to MJF's removal from the company's roster page, as PW Insider reported. No one we've spoken with in the company believes he is actually gone, and this is just storyline playing off his War of 24 stuff that he's referenced forever. MJF has been banged up for some time, so a hiatus would do him well right now, both in terms of health and in freshening him up after he's a focal point of the storylines over the last year. For information regarding a recent WWE talent meeting that took place, Steve Carey of Ringside News wrote on X that Paul Levesque and Nick Khan had a talent gathering ahead of Raw. As of now, not many details have emerged, except that it was a brief and upbeat gathering. The primary aim was to boost morale. Giving advice to the younger generation of pro wrestlers, Chris Jericho told Nerdtropolis, do all of those types of matches you can do a death tour. Track Tony Condello down and he probably still wants you to send a picture and a videotape. That's how he used to do it. Send them your link. One of these tours, it will push you, but it will teach you so many lessons, not just about wrestling, but about life. You'll be able to prove to yourself if you really want to do this. If you don't want to do this, you're not going to want to travel 16 hours in a cramped up freezing van across a frozen lake to get to a high school gymnasium in the middle of nowhere, set up the ring, wrestle a match, take the ring down, put your sleeping bag on the gym floor, and eat a ham sandwich for $30. When you're getting paid probably $50 for the night, that's just how it is. Either you do it and you take the benefits of it, or you just look at the reasons why you don't want to do it and pack up your stuff and never get involved in wrestling again. Hinting at a return to in-ring action, former WWE star Mojo Rawley wrote on X, is 2024 the year I finally return to wrestling? If so, where and against who? Taking to Instagram, Raquel Rodriguez revealed a recent diagnosis, which is why she has not been seen on WWE programming. Here's the clip.
What's up, guys? Happy New Year. So, long story short, last year I posted a video about being a WWE superstar with eczema, and in the month of December it got progressively worse, and I have been diagnosed with something called mast cell activation syndrome. Basically, I was red, swollen, there was a lot happening in this area physically. It kept me from doing the things that I love, like traveling, going to the gym, and wrestling, and I also didn't want to be on camera. I didn't want to look in the mirror, and I understand that all of those things can mess with someone both emotionally and mentally, but thank God I moved back to Texas when I did, because I had the best support system in the world during this time, which is my family. I'm so grateful to them and for everything they have done for me, and to you guys as well, who have sent me kind messages and reminded me that I didn't have to go through this alone. So to anyone who's been struggling or had to celebrate the holiday season a little bit differently this year, I just wanted to say, remember to give yourself a little bit of compassion and grace for the things that you don't understand and the things that you can't control. Life can be really hard sometimes, and it can throw us these crazy curveballs, and I know they feel like they're going to last forever, but I promise they're not. This is going to pass. So let's go into 2024 remembering to give kindness to others and give kindness to ourselves. I can't wait to see what's going to happen this year.
After being sentenced to prison for DUI, manslaughter, and other charges, WWE Hall of Famer Tammy Sytch, known to fans as Sunny, is appealing this decision, as Ringside News wrote. According to PW Insider, Tammy Lynn Sytch's public defender has initiated the appeal process for her sentencing. However, no court hearings have been scheduled as of now. Tammy Lynn Sytch is still entangled in legal proceedings related to a lawsuit brought forth by the estate of Julian Lasseter. Placetter tragically lost his life in a traffic incident that led to Sitch's arrest in March 2022 on multiple charges, including DUI causing death and causing death while operating a vehicle with a suspended or revoked driver's license. The estate has presented a set of questions to the court seeking Sitch's responses regarding her involvement in the crash. Sitch, in her replies, invoked the Fifth Amendment, asserting her right not to be a witness against herself. Tammy Lynn Sitch is currently scheduled for release from the Florida Department of Corrections on January 7, 2040. Sitch had been moved from Volusia County Corrections to a prison facility in Ocala, Florida, after receiving a sentence of 17 years plus an additional 8 years of probation on November 28th. Following his departure from AEW, Andrade El Idolo, who is reportedly expected to be returning to WWE, posted this on X, writing, "I want to thank you for this time that I belong to the company AEW, and above all to Tony Khan. I also want to say goodbye to all the talent, security people, cameramen, referees, and everyone who works in the company for being a part of my time in AEW. Kenny, Young Bucks, Taz, Shivani, Aubrey, Jerry, Hobbs, Hook, Kingston, Ricky, Orange, Thunder, Jack Perry, Austin, Colton, Sanjay, and many more that I can name. Also, how to forget all the Mexicans. I enjoyed sharing this ring with Sting, Pac, Darby, Garcia, Jay, and many more. I would have loved to have faced Mox, Page, Hobbs, Ricky, Dante, Cage, Dustin. Thank you, AEW, and thank you to all the fans for your support always. I wish you the best always." During the WWE Live event in Toronto on Friday, Sami Zayn would end up getting a victory over Finn Balor in a last man standing match, despite Judgment Day member Dominic Mysterio interfering on behalf of Balor. After the bout, Zayn would end up with a battle wound on his head, as he ended up needing staples. Going over an unfortunate injury that an AEW star suffered, Ringside News wrote that in the main event of Pro Wrestling Noah's The New Year 2024, Naomichi Marufuji faced Kota Ibushi in a singles match that lasted over 30 minutes. Ultimately, Ibushi emerged victorious. During the match, there was a moment when Ibushi attempted a moonsault to the outside, and he appeared to grab at his ankle upon landing. He ended up injuring his ankle, but still carried on with the match. According to Sports Hochi, Kota Ibushi suffered injuries to both of his ankles early in the match. It was added that Kota Ibushi had to be taken to a hospital in Tokyo. While he managed to get to the backstage area on his own, he expressed severe pain and was unable to provide backstage comments. As a result, an ambulance was called. Noah's director, Narahiro Takeda, stated that further information on Ibushi's condition will not be available until he receives a diagnosis at the hospital. Only time will tell if Kota Ibushi will require surgery, as things do not look good for him at the moment. On Monday Night Raw, Giovanni Vinci would be on the receiving end of a drop kick from Kofi Kingston in a tag team match where he was hit in the face pretty hard. Many were concerned for his health, as the match would be stopped shortly after. Vinci would take to X to let fans know that he is alright, saying he's fine in Italian. As The Rock returned to WWE and set his sights on becoming the head of the table and challenging Roman Reigns, Ringside News said this regarding the company's plan. Dave Meltzer discussed the segment on today's Wrestling Observer Radio, and while we can't stamp it as official just yet, Meltzer mentioned that Roman Reigns has been simmering with those head of the table and tribal chief nicknames for years, all in preparation for an epic battle with the people's champion himself, The Rock. Meltzer stated that whole thing, the head of the table and all that, and tribal chief, was all done originally to build up the Roman Reigns Rock match. Apparently, the idea of The Rock clashing with Reigns has been tossed around before. The Rock once turned down the chance to square off at WrestleMania 38 in Arlington, Texas, and at his sight set on WrestleMania 39 at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. Meltzer stated, "I remember they were gonna do the Dallas show, WrestleMania 38, and then it was gonna be Los Angeles, WrestleMania 39. 1989. He turned down the first one to do the second one, which would have been Los Angeles. Then Los Angeles ended up being canceled kind of in December, I think. Back in September, The Rock himself confirmed our Ringside News exclusive during an appearance on ESPN's College Game Day that Showdown with Reigns was in the cards for WrestleMania 39, but alas, those plans crumbled like a table. When it comes to stories of Cody Rhodes not wanting to stick with WWE, Ringside News wrote that a rumor is going around saying that Cody Rhodes is not happy in WWE and he has refused to sign a new deal. This rumor gained even more traction after The Rock returned during the Day 1 Raw, which many suppose will take a WrestleMania main event match from the American Nightmare. BWE was asked by one fan if they could comment on the story going around about Cody Rhodes not being happy in WWE. This story stated that Cody Rhodes has refused to ink a new deal with the company. The proven WWE insider said that Cody Rhodes is good, and he wouldn't report that without the slightest hint of confirmation internally. It appears that the story about Cody Rhodes being unhappy in WWE is not factual. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.